In the last episode, we discussed around the idea of having exceptional standards, exceptional mental pictures that are way above convention, way above the average, way above the norm, and all those mental pictures, those exceptional standards can drive you into action, how they can drive you into exceptional level of execution that would in turn produce exceptional results. And that was an awesome episode. I would say that you should give it a second listen, give it a third listen as much as you want to listen, as much as it takes for you to really digest what was in that episode. All right, so if you look at that cycle between exceptional standards that drive you to execute on an exceptional level and how it births results that give you exceptional visions, and then the cycle goes on and on, there's a word that actually ties all that together. There's a single word that ties it all together, and that word is called diligence. Yes, I know that's not a new word. It's quite a popular word. But when we're talking about diligence, what is diligence really about? What comes to your mind when you hear diligence? Is it hard work? Is it just hard work? Does it mean working hard? Does it mean putting so much energy? Does it mean being persistent, continuing at something again and again? What does diligence really mean? Now, I'll be opening this episode with the truth that diligence really is not about, the amount of work, the amount of energy dissipated or exerted alone. Diligence is really about coming out with results that are above convention, above regular. That's what diligence is. The scripture that says, if you see a man that is diligent in his business, he would stand before kings and not mere men. Just think about that. That alone should give you an idea of what the fruit of diligence is. Diligence produces works. It produces results that attract kings. Results that kings cannot but call for. That really is what diligence is. I know that might be breaking a bit of your paradigm, a bit of your mental framework about what diligence is. In fact, I would define diligence there as productive persistence. So it's not just being persistent. You can be persistent at an unproductive thing. You can be persistent at an unproductive approach, at an unproductive path. That is not diligence. That's not diligence. So diligence is not just in the action. It's not just about the action. It's not just about the movement. It's not just about the visible exertion of energy or activity. I would dare to say that diligence is not just showing up. Yes, showing up is the barest minimum you can do. That's what you start with. You start with showing up consistently showing up. But that's not, you've not attained diligence at that point. Diligence is seen in its fruit. It's in commanding results that attracts kings, that attracts the people that are the top of the echelon of whatsoever class or society that you're in. So it's not just about the consistency and the effort or hours invested. Diligence is about productive persistence. So it is not just persistence alone. It's not just consistency alone. It's not just energy alone. It is productive persistence. So if the persistence is not productive, if the energy is not productive, it's not diligent. That's not diligence. So he's not going to stand you before king. He's not going to stand you before kings. See, kings can't resist anything that is above convention. Why? They always want the best of the best. That's it for them. They want the best of the best. If there's a kind of, material out there, as little as insignificant as a type of wood, a quality of wood that is out there, a quality of furniture that is out there, that is way above the average quality that the regular man has. That's what the kings want. That's it. Once everyone has it, they lose taste for it. They have a taste for something that the average person does not have access to. They want something that is outside convention. That's what kings go for. So they don't like conventional standards. They don't want that. They want what communicates royalty. So the kings have a gold standard in their mind. A gold standard. The concept of gold standard came from the time when currencies were being backed by gold, such that if you had any worth, any value of paper money on your hands, it's actually backed by gold that is worth the amount that was written on that paper, such that you can go to the bank or go to the reserve and exchange that paper for gold that is worth that same amount. Good old times, right? So that's what the gold standard is, and that is what the kings are looking for. They are looking for the gold standard, that standard that sets the pace, that standard that sets the pace for every other thing. So if you would come up with a gold standard, if you would create a gold standard, if you would create works at that level, if you would create that gold standard and dig enough to get gold, enough gold to back up that standard, you will not just stand before kings. You will hit in their courts. You will eat amidst them. So diligence is far beyond good. The kings are not just looking for good. They want royal. That's what they want. They want royal. They want gold standard. So it's very important. It's very important to know that diligence is not really about just how much work you put in, just how much energy, activity, showmanship that you put in. It's not about that. It's not about the volume of work per se. If it's not resulting in an exceptional standard, it's not diligence. If you are not sitting down to see how to make the energy invested become more productive, to produce on another level, it's not diligence. It's not diligence. You can get so much done in quantity, but it's just going to sit on your desk and sit on the tables of the common man. Kings are not going to call for it. So it's about how above the convention, how lofty, how above normal is the standard you are trying to establish. So I tell you, if you beat a kingdom to its knees, if you would beat any system to its knees, you need an exceeding standard. You need a gold standard. And that's what this episode is about. It's about the concept of the gold standard. The gold standard in any sphere, popularly is known as anything that sets the pace, that sets the standard by which other things are measured. So any work that stands at a level that is way above the regular, such that other works, other usual regular works can be measured with respect to it. That is what the gold standard is. So in any industry, in any sphere, that is what the gold standard is. And that is what you need. So you are not going to eat with kings. You are not going to do business with kings without the gold standard. That's what they operate with. The gold standard. So you need an exceeding standard. This alone brings us to the point that still drives home the concept of paying close attention to the pictures you have conceived, the pictures you have internalized about what you do. Because that's what will drive you. That's what will drive you through whatsoever it will take to achieve that level of result. Whatsoever number of hours it will take now is not going to matter because of the picture you are going for, what you are gunning for. So that picture becomes doable for you because there's a standard in your mind, and you are not going to plateau. You're not going to just rest and then feel accomplished until you are there. This is how powerful the standard you have set in your mind is. So diligence will surely require of you effort. Of course, absolutely. It will require of you consistency. It will require of you persistence. It will require of you putting in the hours. But where it really starts from is the standard you have in your mind. What's the standard in your mind? Where are you working from? What are you seeing? What is that standard that you have set for yourself? And it is that standard that determines if what you are doing is diligence or not. So it's not diligence because you spent hours, days, or weeks working on something mediocre. No, it's not. You can spend years working on something that the kings would not even consider as a reasonable project. That's the truth. So at a point, they don't care how much money you spent, how much resources that went into it, how much time or effort that went into it. The question is, why should we want this? Why? Looking at my class, looking at my level, why should I want this? So royalty will not ask you how much time. It's not their business how much time you put into it. They just want to see what standard is this from. And if it looks anything like the average, if it looks anything like what the common man experiences, what the common man has, they don't want it. But once it's away and out of that league, they would pay anything to go after it. I tell you, that's how they function. That's how they function. So they go after that which is not average, that which is not common, that's not the convention. That's what they want to have. That's what they go after. So if they hear about a new standard, in a couple of weeks, in a couple of hours, sometimes they want to hear, okay, what's it? How can I get it for myself? That's what they go for. So to attract kings is basically creating at a royal standard. That's it. So they look out for the convention. They try and see what is above the convention. So even if you have produced at a level that is above the convention now, over time, if your work falls back into convention, it is no more the king's standard. It is no more what the kings would want. Regardless of how much noise you make around it, it doesn't matter at that point. So most of the time, we think that we are lazy, we are not diligent. And the issue is not that you are lazy per se. That's not the issue. The issue is you don't just have the picture of a standard, the picture of a gold standard that will drive you. Now let's look at how Jesus attracted the attention of the rulers of the Jews. It was an exceeding standard, actually, a standard that was above the realm of men. It got to a stage they had to acknowledge that no, there has to be a God with this man. God had to be with him. They had to acknowledge that. So diligence for a believer is not just working and exerting energy. It starts with having a God class standard. That's it. A God class standard at the back of your mind. That God class standard is rooted in your mind, driving you through the thick and thin of seeing that standard come to pass, seeing it come to fruition. So for the kingdom man, diligence is above convention. It's above conventional standard. The heart of the diligent, it hates convention. It does not sit right with convention. It doesn't sit with mediocrity. So basically your work is to observe the current standard. You're observing the current standard, the current limits, and you are looking at how to stretch it. That's really your job. Look at Jesus. Is raising the dead conventional? Is it regular? Is it regular to raise the dead? Is it regular to lay hands on people and see them recover? Think about, is that regular? That's not regular. That's not conventional. And that was how he kept on doing things. He kept on doing things that made them wonder, what manner of man is this? What kind of man is this? That's the art of diligence. That's actually the function. That's the way the diligent man functions. So the reason you are not diligent does not even start with, perhaps you are lazy. No, that's not where it starts from. It's just because you are fine with convention. You are cool. You are okay with convention. And once you're okay with convention, you can't come up with diligence. You might think it is diligence. It is not. It won't attract kings. And so it is not. It is not diligence. It's not possible. So you must be seeing a picture of an exceeding standard that is out of the current one. A standard that is out of what the regular people are celebrating. It's not going to be diligence if it's not that. It's not going to communicate royalty. It's going to be good. It's going to be a very good thing. But it's not going to be gold standard. And the kings don't want anything short of gold standard. They don't. So what does the diligent man do? He presses on to see that picture that he has internalized emerge. The fruits of that picture must emerge. Now, one other thing that you need to put into perspective is that no matter how exceptional a standard is today, if that standard over time falls into the regular, the kings leave it and go for the higher standard. Meaning that diligence also instructs you to be on the constant road of improvement. You must be up to date. You must be up to date. Because you can be on the table of kings today, and then in just the passage of time without your conscious awareness, without your conscious effort of improvement, understanding the changing of the times, you can be on the streets in the next couple of moments. In the next couple of moments, you're on the street. You are no more with the kings. So it means there is something you have to do to sustain yourself on that seat. Standing before kings, sitting with kings, dining with kings, there's what you need to do. And it is that you're on a constant road, that constant quest for improvement, that you are still that exceptional standard, even with the passage of time. So I know this definition of diligence might have rocked your boat a bit, might have shaken you off your chair a bit. But we need to really, really get into the definitions and get the definitions right. Because that's where it all starts from. Once your definitions are skewed, you can't get the entire thing right. You can't get any part of the concept right. So I want to hear what you think. What do you think about this episode? What did you think about diligence before now? And what's your perspective like now? Do you have questions? You can share them with me. Share them with me in your comments, in the comment section. I want to hear from you. All right, so that's it for this episode. Just look forward for the final part of this episode, still on this same train of thought within the series God's Businessman. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your comments. All right, so see you on the next one. I wish you good success. Take charge.